I hit play on the recording before we started for once. Hello, everybody. We still got some folks coming in. So what I didn't do is prepare a good icebreaker question. Oh, Riley's got one.
Oh, I was about to say I have one, but Riley can go first.
No, you go ahead. You go
I'll
ahead.
go next. No, mine might be really stupid and not make sense, but I was thinking if you could be any type of dog, what would you be?
If you could be any type of dog.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of dogs. I like that.
Oh, I gotta think about that one.
I'd be like that Slinky dog from Toy Story. That'd be me.
Very good. All right. So I know we've got a couple people who are going to be late and or are not joining us today, but let's make sure I have other folks. Let's see, Felicity, Jordan, Maya. I don't see Naomi yet. Remember Andy. Let's see, Nora. I see Erica. Why? Oh, here's Shika. Excellent. Okay. Did Emily tell me she was going to be late?
Hello, this is Shika.
Hi, Shika. Okay. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? And hopefully the last couple of folks trickle in. Happy Thursday, everybody. So before we ice break, I will not remind, but we're coming up on conference, just like a couple weeks away. I'm very excited. Something I'm gonna need from all of you is a short bio to go on the in the program, like on the website for the conference, because you are all acting as presenters during the youth conference. So a couple of you who are already presenting at the main conference, Andy, I know I have your bio, I have Cecile's, but I would love bios from the rest of you.
Congratulations for speaking.
Yes, very excited. We'll make sure to let everybody know when everybody's sessions are so y'all can go and attend and support. But a bio from each of you would be great. It doesn't have to be too long. I can send out examples that would that you can kind of model yours on. But you basically just want people at the conference to kind of know who you are, what you do, maybe a fun fact or two about yourself, things like that. So if you could get those to me by our last session, that would be excellent. So by the 28th, if you could get those to me. So you've got a little time to think about it and to write out what you want to write out. I have to put them into, I've learned how to build an app. So it's been what I've been learning to do the last couple weeks. But in any case, Let's go ahead and get started. So if you would like to share again, your name and your pronouns, and if you could be a dog, what kind of dog would you be? Um, so I'm Abby. I use she, they pronouns. And if I could be a dog, I think probably I have been described previously as like a golden retriever. So I think that probably I would want to be a golden retriever because I love their energy. So I'm gonna go and call on Honora.
Hello, I'm Honora. I use she, they pronouns. And if I could be a dog, since it's not very specific on breed or anything, I'm gonna be Gur from Invader Zim. I'm going to be the robot that dresses up in a dog disguise and I'm gonna be all over the place. I'm gonna love waffles. I'm gonna have a pet pig. I'm gonna do all these crazy things because that's just what I do. See here, who am I gonna pass this to? All right, I shall pass off to Rachel.
My name is Rachel, she, her, and if I could be a dog, I would say I would be a pug. They're really, really cute and they're really gentle and energetic. And I have a pug named Babe. She's a black pug, so yeah. Then I would definitely be a pug.
Excellent. Who are you going to pass it to, Rachel?
I think I will pass it on to Jeremiah.
I'm Jeremiah Johnson. My pronouns are he, him. If I was to pick a dog, I would probably pick like a King Corso or like a English Mastiff. I just love how like big and strong and like how respectful they are. They're really just overall great dogs and really cool.
Just big God. God, I love every dog.
Yeah. And then I'll pass it to Andy.
Hi there, Andy, he, him pronouns. And I would probably go with a border collie. They're really energetic like me. And in terms of being a dog, they have that fun feature of being able to like flatten out while moving forward. And that seems like a fun dog trait to have. And I'll bounce it to Jordan.
Okay, I'm Jordan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm gonna follow Nora's lead. I'll go with an animated dog. I'm gonna pick Puppy Cat. I feel like I'm really more of a cat than a dog person. Although, I have a dog, but he's very cat-like. It's fine. Uh, Erica, I'm curious to know what dog you would pick.
My name is Erica. I use she, her pronouns, and if I were a dog, I would be some kind of a bulldog, just because I love how like short their little legs are, but they're still not like really small dogs. So yeah. And I'm gonna call on Riley.
So my name is Riley. I use she, her pronouns, and I would be an Australian cattle dog. I have an Australian cattle dog. He is both anxious, a little bit high strung, nervous, and really, really smart, which is like me to a T. So, yes. Shika, go ahead.
Hi, this is Shika. She, her pronouns. I'm from Georgia. I work at Disability Link as a case manager, and I would say my dog would be like a calm Labrador. That's the type of dog I want to get, maybe in the future. And I'll give it to Cecilia.
Hi, I'm Cecily. I'm a peer supporter at Link, and um, I'm not really a dog fan, but I like cat. And if I would like to be a cat, it will be those yellow little cutie kitties. Those ones will be me because they're so cute.
I think that the best answer to what kind of dog I would be is a cat. Cause like it feels like you really know yourself. If you're like, no, I'm not a dog. There's no part of me that's a dog. Like I love that. Cecilia, who are you gonna pass it to?
Um,
We've got Elicity and Lavender, who have not gone.
okay, I'll pass it to Lavender.
Hi, I am Lavender. I use she, they pronouns. I don't know what kind of dog I would be necessarily. But I have a massive appreciation for Borzois. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I think if I were like a Borzoi or a Greyhound or anything with a really long snoot, that would bring me a massive amount of joy because I enjoy looking at them. So I'm gonna go with Borzoi, and then I'll pass it off to Elicity.
Elicity, I see that you're connected via phone. So if you're not able to unmute today, that's okay. Don't worry about it. But we're really glad that you're here.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Hooray.
For some reason, I unmuted on my phone, but it made me unmute on the laptop as well. So sorry about that. But I use she, they pronouns, she, her pronouns, I'm sorry. And I'd be a golden retriever with Abby. They're good lead dogs. They are beautiful dogs. And I've always wanted one, but I just haven't been able to get a dog in a very long time. So, yeah. So I pass the phone to Steve.
All right. Yes, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Steve Schmidt. Steve, please feel free to tell us what kind of dog you would want to be. So this is the second year we've had Steve present. I think y'all are in for a treat today. We're going to be learning all about communicating with maybe some difficult people. So Steve, go for it. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So my name is Steve Schmidt. I use he, him pronouns. And I would say the type of dog that I would like to be, I would have to be a hot dog because, I'd be just bring joy to people at barbecues around the world. I figured that might be the case. Mustard, onions, all that stuff. So, yeah. So hopefully everybody can see the screen okay. And words are correctly oriented. They're not backwards on your screen or anything like that. You can read them okay. Is that correct? Okay, excellent. Yes. Excellent. I always have the mirror view on my end. So just want to make sure everybody can see this okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about enhanced communication. But before we get going, let me tell you a little about myself and sort of how I ended up being affiliated here with April and this group. So originally, I come from a very small town in Montana, way up about 50 miles south of the Canadian border. We're talking like 90 miles from the nearest stoplight and 70 miles from the nearest McDonald's. So like we're out, really, I grew up in the middle of nowhere. When I graduated high school, I moved to Kansas City and spent about 12 years in Kansas City. Now, one of the things that I've always done ever since I was about 15 years in high school is I've done a tremendous amount of volunteer work with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. I've been to 20 different MDA summer camps. This is a picture of me right here with my buddy Jason. Unfortunately, we just lost Jason a few months ago But he was just a rock star, great friend of mine. I spent many years also as his personal care attendant while I was in Kansas City as well. When I moved back to Montana from Kansas City, that's when I met my wife. So down there in that corner, actually, I met my wife, my daughter, and my son. My wife and daughter both have muscular dystrophy, and my wife was dropping her off for her very first summer camp when she was 7 years old. And I was driving the bus from Western Montana up to Eastern Montana, where we were holding the MDA camp. And that's when we first met. And about a year later, we became an official family. My wife, Leanne, you can hear her pictured in the pink shirt there. She is a PhD level sexologist and a full-on rock star. I'm just so honored to be with her and to share life with her. It's just absolutely amazing. My daughter in the blue shirt there, sitting in the front, equally. I mean, just the what do they say? The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. Full on rock star as well. She's a special ed teacher, 4th and 5th grade special ed in her 3rd year now, and just absolutely rocking it. My son is the guy standing in the middle of the dark blue shirt there. He is a firefighter paramedic with Missoula Rural Fire Department, and he just attended his very first MDA summer camp this past summer, as well as one of the 2 firefighters in Montana who actually had to go down to Denver for the MDA camp down there. So just full on honored to be a part of this family and to share life with each and every one of them. They're just truly my superheroes throughout the day. Now, when I went to Kansas City, I went there to go to school. I had absolutely no idea what the heck I wanted to do for a living. After I graduated from college, I saw this thing on TV. It said Community Bulletin Board, police officers wanted. I picked up the phone, called the number. 6 months later, I was sitting in the Kansas City, Missouri Police Academy, and I ultimately became a police officer. I spent 8 years on the streets, running around playing cops and robbers on the streets of Kansas City and just having a blast and learning a lot.
I do not know what just happened.
He just disappeared.
He did. He sure did.
It said Steve left. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He might have
well,
accidentally pressed the leave button instead of changing his screen share or something.
yeah.
I've definitely done that before.
All right.
He was freezing for me.
He was.
I
I
don't
was
know if
here.
anybody else saw that. I could hear him fine, but his image was freezing, so maybe his connection was bad.
He did the same thing on mine too. He was freezing. I thought it was my internet going bad or something.
So it seems like he probably lost internet. I had forgotten that he had family members with muscular dystrophy. But he was a very cool guy. He's done like a gazillion things. Which I always find so interesting about people. I'm hoping I'm gonna just keep an eye on my phone and my email. Because I don't know, we're supposed to have really terrible weather here on the East Coast. I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but there's a hurricane on its way. That's stronger than one would hope that it is. For as far out in the ocean it still is. So let me sure my Google Voice is open and my email is open. In the meantime, do y'all have any questions or anything about April conference, about your bios? I don't know about anything. I'll talk about anything really, but
This is Shika. Yeah, I had a question. Do you have any tips on the breaks? Because Saturday is really jam-packed. It has 3 or 4 workshops or 5 workshops in one day.
yes.
So I saw Saturday was the biggest day, and Friday is pretty big too.
Yes. So definitely
This Thursday's a little bit light because it's just our It's just people coming in and stuff.
Yes. So definitely make sure that you're taking breaks. We do have some breaks scheduled in on both Friday and Saturday, but if you are feeling overwhelmed or tired, or you have things that you have to do personal care wise, please feel free to take care of your body and your mind, because you only get one of each of those. So if that means missing a session or part of a session, as long as it's not one that you are actively speaking on, then I say do what you got to do. I hope that's helpful. Elicity, no, you are not still on. Let's see. You aren't disconnected for us.
I'm on.
Oh no, sorry. Steve just emailed me and asked if he's still on. We all froze, and his computer thinks he's still connected. But Elicity, go for it.
So I just had a quick question, and you may have already answered this, but did you send an email out with the list of things for each day, or?
Yes. Oh, that Steve is calling me. 1 second.
Okay.
Hi, Emily. We are right now in the middle of waiting for the speaker to come back. So.
Okay, I do apologize for being late. I lost track of time.
No worries, it happens. You haven't missed much. Elicity, yes, I am gonna actually throw in the chat. We have a conference website. We're working on an app as well. It's not been published yet, but that is the full information on basically everything that's happening at the conference. So please feel free to check it out. And if you have questions, let me know. Steve, while you're getting resettled, folks were asking a couple questions about April conference in a few weeks. Lavender, what can I do for you?
I was going to ask if you had any more details on what presenting is going to look like for us.
Yes. So y'all will be leading the roundtable discussions for the youth conference, so we're going to divide you out into groups, I think probably of 3 or 4. And you will all help facilitate and participate in these topics, so we can work on determining what you want your topics to be. Start thinking about things that you feel knowledge or passionate about. So last year we had folks talk about education, about disability history, about disability representation in the media. So topics that you feel like the youth conference could benefit from talking about. And you will be helping to facilitate those. So it won't be alone, and it won't be like up in front of everybody. It will be at the table, with your peers here and with folks from youth conference.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Welcome. Honora.
I was wondering, is there like a specific way we need to dress? Like, is it just casual, or?
From what I've not been to an in-person April conference actually, but from what I understand, everybody dresses quite casually.
Okay, good.
So I'm not too worried about it. All right, Steve, take it away. I don't know if you were having.
They say dress in whatever's comfortable for you.
Whatever's comfortable for you. Awesome. Thank you, Emily. That is very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not sure where. Oh, sorry about that.
I'm sorry, Chica. I was just answering the question. I went to the April conference in 2019, and I just wore like work clothes, like business casual, like dress pants and like dress shirts. So as comfortable you can.
Awesome. right, Steve, I'm passing it over to you.
All right. Where did you guys, excuse me, what was one of the last things you heard?
You were telling us about how you got your job working at the police department.
Oh, okay. So let me back up the screen and then, so yeah, I just kept on talking. So this is going on. I started asking a question and I was like, is anybody there? So, all right. So hopefully you guys can all hear me now again. So, perfect. So, as a police officer, so one of the other things that I did, I spent 8 years on the streets as a police officer in Kansas City, Missouri, just learning a lot. It was absolutely fascinating. But one of the other things I did while I was a full-time police officer, I was also a professional mascot. I was the mascot for the Major League Soccer team, the Kansas City Wizards. I was also the mascot for the largest country radio station in Kansas City. And I was the mascot for the largest amphitheater in Kansas City, where all the big concerts were held. So it was just a truckload of fun. I had a blast and just had a great time. So today we're here talking a little bit about effective communication. And one of my favorite books ever is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I think it's just a tremendous book, especially when it talks about communication and helping people communicate ideas and to share thoughts and things like that. Is I always like to start with why. So if I can ask a question real quick to the group, why are you here and what are you kind of looking to get out of enhanced communications? And this is where I paused and didn't realize I was not connected anymore.
Oh no.
No, but everything's good right now. So so yeah, any questions or actually I should say any things that you want to get out of enhancing your communication?
I might rephrase. I'm going to rephrase just in case. What is it that, why do you all want to be, first of all, do you want to be better communicators? And second, why do you want to be a better communicator? Elicity.
See it.
So I think communication is important because you use it in everyday life skills. It doesn't matter if you're communicating with family or if you're communicating with someone at the McDonald's drive-through, just anything like that. Communication is the best way of life. Well, the biggest thing in life, because I think communication can give you the conversations that you have each day. Communicating with someone, that you may not understand how somebody's life is going, or you may not understand what somebody means by something. And by communicating, you get a better understanding, a better agreement about different things. And I would love to learn to communicate better because everybody, it's not what you say, it's how you say it and how you get it across. So I would love to learn more about that.
Excellent. And I see, is there a couple other people have their hand raised?
Cecilia unmuted, and then Andy.
Yeah.
So Alicia kind of covered everything that I wanted to say. So like it's like we were reading our minds. I was gonna go say the same thing. So I don't have to repeat what you already said. Thank you, though.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Andy.
As kind of a big part of my personal career journey, I really value being a community organizer, and I feel like a barrier for me that I need to grow and gain skills on is communicating across cultural differences. I have a background that I come from that doesn't necessarily match everyone in the communities that I work in. And so I feel like that's an important component of increasing my communication skills.
Truly. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. So somebody else.
Nora.
Honora.
Yes. I feel like communication is very useful, especially in advocacy where you're working with policymakers and such. It'd be great to have good communication. That way you can get across what you need to get across, but also in a positive way instead of like, because if you have bad communication skills, you're trying to talk to a policymaker, it's probably not going to work out very well.
I need you to come up here to Montana and talk to some of our people that talk to the policymakers here, because they need some help. You got it. You guys are all spot on. I absolutely love it. This is great. And yeah, absolutely. Effective communication or communication in general is something that we are always doing, nearly 24/7, with maybe the exception of the time that we're sleeping. And I want you to look at this sort of as a little bit of a training day, because one of the aspects of communication that I think is really important is we will never learn it all. There's always an opportunity to learn so much more about communication. I've been studying communication since I was in high school, and it's probably still the number one topic as far as books that I read on a continuous basis. Constantly. I'm just constantly studying this, and there's still so much more to learn. And I still feel like I'm an amateur at this, even though I've literally been studying communication for over 30 years now and putting it into practice with all the different jobs that I've done. Now, one of the things when I was a verbal judo instructor, verbal judo is a tactical communications course for law enforcement. And I think truly a lot more law enforcement officers really need to take verbal judo, but I truly believe what happens is they take the class and then they never implement it. It's kind of like if you go to you take a self-defense class, then you spend a half an hour or even 8 hours learning some basic self-defense techniques. You're not a black belt. You haven't mastered the skills of this. It's something that takes ongoing rehearsal, practice, drill, and rehearsing. And we're going to get to that here in just a little bit as well. One of the things, one day I was getting ready to go teach a new class of some new recruits at a local jail here in Montana. And I showed up and I was wearing a coat and tie. I wasn't wearing my normal officer's uniform. And somebody had seen me in the parking lot and they were like, "Schmitty, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going in to teach verbal judo." And they go, "Oh, yeah. Verbal judo. Yeah, I've tried that stuff. It doesn't work." And I thought that was really interesting that he knew I was a verbal judo instructor, yet he's telling me the stuff doesn't work. So I walked into class and I said, "All right, class, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to study verbal judo today. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to go fishing. And what I want you to do is go home, get all your fishing gear, put on all your, your stuff that you would wear fishing. I want you to get your pole, all your tackle boxes, your lures, pack a lunch, grab some drinks, meet back here in about 45 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to drive all the way out to my favorite lake and my favorite fishing spot. We're all going to load up in the boat. We're going to drive about 20 minutes across this lake, and then we're going to tie on our favorite lures, and we're going to go fishing. And when you guys throw out that lure for the first time and you reel it back in and you don't have a fish on the end of the line, I'm going to say, you know what? You tried this fishing stuff. It obviously doesn't work. Let's go home. And then we're going to pack it all up and we're going to drive all the way back into town, and then we'll start class. How does that make sense? Does that make sense? It would be absolutely ridiculous if that's what we did, because most people can't, just, throw out one cast and go, "Oh, I tried this. It doesn't work." You have to try maybe different lures, different approaches, different locations. Maybe you fish in the morning, and maybe you should fish in the afternoon. Maybe you fish from shore. Maybe you have to fish from a boat. There's so many different ways to fish that there's really no one right way to get there. I recently saw a video that talked about the number 10. If we say that 10 is the answer, well, 10 could be 5 plus 5. It could be 5 times 2. It could be 7 plus 3. It could be 15 minus 5. It could be 20 minus 10. There's so many different ways to get to 10 that 10 might be the right answer, but everybody can take a different approach to get there. And communication is very much that same exact way. There's so many different ways to get to a potential solution or a compromise or a cooperation, if that makes sense, or even maybe a level of collaboration where everybody's working together. So, and what that takes is what I mentioned a little bit before. It takes PDR, and PDR stands for practice, drill, and rehearse. You have to study this stuff. You have to practice it. And since we learn most from our mistakes, then I say let's mess some stuff up, right? And look at that as a great opportunity to learn and improve our communication skills, because oftentimes we're going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person in the wrong way, and then we can spend, you know, the next 10 days trying to fix that problem that we created because we made a mistake. But at the end of that 10 days, we come out better on the other end in many cases. So it's a great opportunity to practice, drill, and rehearse, constantly study the stuff. And what I'll do at the end of this, I'll share another course that I have that you can all take for free. I'll send out the link to Abby so you guys all have that. And then I'm also writing a book right now called The Fine Art of Dealing with Difficult People, all based on communication and aspects of that. So that'll be something else that you can read and go through, and I'll give that all to you for free. I'm not done with the book yet, so it might be a little bit before I get it to you, but I'll make sure that Abby gets that, and then you guys will have all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about some of the goals for enhanced communication. One of the first things I think is safety. Not only our personal safety, which is important, because if we say the wrong thing at the wrong time in the wrong way to the wrong person, that could put our physical safety in danger, but also our professional safety, because I've seen a lot more people. In fact, it seems to be the number one reason why most people lose their jobs. Is because they maybe communicated in the wrong way and their professional safety was jeopardized and they ended up losing their jobs. So it matters what we say and how we say things, as you said earlier. The other aspect of enhanced communication is enhancing our level of professionalism. Now, when I say professionalism, I don't necessarily mean just on a professional level dealing with people, but I also believe there's a level of professionalism that you can have inside of a family. I have used these enhanced communication techniques within my own family to not only help my level of communication when I'm trying to express an idea, but I've also used these skills in reverse to help my family express ideas to me and to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what we're trying to say. And ultimately, what that leads to is a lot less stress in our worlds and increased morale, especially in the professional environment. And if we can help enhance that within our jobs or our communities or groups that we're associated with, it really means a lot. And that means you can be a lot more effective and get a lot more stuff done. And with a lot more stress, you have a lot more fun and you get to sleep better at night, which is really great. So overall health benefits of that are tremendous. Now, oftentimes when I say enhanced professionalism, let me just ask you this. What does professionalism mean to you? And you can just sort of think in your head what professionalism means. Some people might think, well, it means that you know all the tasks of your job and you can do your job really well, or you show up to work on time, and some people associate it with dressing professionally. You have a particular look to the style of your clothes, depending on what it is. And that matters depending on profession, right? If I hire a professional to come and clean out my septic tank, I don't expect that person to show up with a coat and tie and patent leather shoes on, right? Because I would look at them and thinking, that's a little weird. Why would you show up dressed like, with a coat and tie on when you're cleaning out my septic tank? I wouldn't consider that professional. So it's oftentimes based on what the person is and what they're doing that we look at and what we might determine as professional. So there's a lot of different traits of what it means to be a professional. And it always reminds me of back when I was in the 8th grade. I had a teacher come into the classroom. We were all sitting there, and she goes, define the word dance. And then she looks at me, and I go, to dance. And she goes, no, don't show me. Tell me, what does dance mean? I don't know, to dance. And she goes, no. Again, just use your words. Define the word dance. And I couldn't do it. And then she asked the entire class, and nobody in the class could define the word dance. Yet we could all, yeah, absolutely, move rhythmically. You got it. And she said that. She goes, yeah, to move rhythmically with music is what she said. And I went, oh, that makes sense. Now, I knew what dance was. I could look at somebody and go, you're dancing. I could look at somebody else and go, you're not dancing. And so I could dance or I could not dance. So I knew how to or how not to dance. So I clearly understood what dance was, but I just couldn't articulate it. And professionalism, oftentimes when I ask this in groups, people come up with all these different traits of what it means to be a professional. And what it actually boils down to is this, and let me ask it, is it possible what one person views as professional, another person may not view as professional? And if you're working at a job, is it possible what one supervisor views as professional, another supervisor may not view it as professional? Or what one customer views as professional, another customer may not view as professional, right? So what it does is it boils down to this. Professionalism is nothing more than a perception. And if you can get people to answer yes to two questions, and these two questions here, yes to these two, they will view you as a professional. And so, Andy, I hope this sort of helps you, like, especially when you're dealing with different cultures and all of this stuff, is if you can get people to look at you and go, do they think I know what I'm doing? And they go, yes. And then you ask, do they think I'm good at it? And they say yes. Then there's a very great chance they're going to view you as a professional in your line of work. And that crosses a lot of different cultural boundaries. If they think you know what you're doing and they think you're good at your job, they're going to view you as a professional. And using all the different traits of what it means to be a professional to get you there, to get people to think that, if that makes sense. And some of those traits are like a prominent presence, like I'm there. I look like I'm the one that's in charge. I feel confident about what I'm doing at that given moment. You can make quick, rapid, well-justified choices or quick decisions. You have just an entire library of expertise in your heads. You've studied this stuff. You've done all the work. You're considered an expert in your field. Now, I've seen a lot of experts in their given line of work, but they maybe can't make quick choices. Maybe they don't have that presence in front of them. Maybe they're not continuing their ongoing education. They've this is oftentimes with the police officers that I could not stand to work with, or the police officers that sort of sat back and be like, you know, I've been a police officer for the last 40 years. I know everything there is to be a police officer. I couldn't stand working with those people. I'm like, oh, like just like always be learning, right? There's so much going on. And transformative, meaning you can adapt to change, which I think is as new like technology comes into play. And I'm going to share some great stuff with you here at the end of this presentation as well. But you're able to adapt to change. One of the my favorite animals as far as this goes is a chameleon, because they can change, they can adapt to their environment, and they can change different colors. So it's, I think, a really good symbol of what that means. And then the other aspect, I think, truly of being what it means to be a professional is just having unwavering ethical standards that are just up there, and that you truly, I guess, live your life the way you want others to live, you know, and that you It's not a do as I say, not as I do. Is it truly like when nobody's watching, you're always going to be doing the right thing, which I think is just an awesome example of what a real professional is. And I always try to act like there's a camera on me 24/7, and whatever's being recorded on that camera might be viewed by my mother or my grandmother someday, and I would never want to disappoint them in any way, shape, or form. So I always try to act in that, just that super high ethical standard of conduct, which is one of the reasons why I ultimately got out of law enforcement, is because I was getting frustrated with a failure on number 6 there in many aspects. So oftentimes when we're communicating with people, we ultimately end up in some sort of conflict. There'll be some sort of disagreement. And this is what I typically see, even when I was a police officer, to times as my kids were growing up, to conversations and challenges that my wife and I have had with one another, is oftentimes I see this. And sometimes I've even had to pause our conversations when we experienced a little bit of conflict to bring this up, to bring this into perspective, because my wife and my kids, they understand this concept because they've heard me talk about it multiple times. But if you're standing there and you're the person here in the front in the blue, and you're looking at that image that's on the ground in between us, and you go, "Hey, Schmitty, that's a 6." And from my perspective, I go, "No, that's not a 6. It's clearly a 9." And you go, "Schmitty, you're an idiot. That's got to be a 6. Like, how could you think it's anything other than a 6?" And I'm like, "Well, it's clearly a 9. Like, how could it be anything other than a 9?" And what we have to do is we're looking at the same exact thing, but we're looking at it from completely different angles. And what it means to really to master those communications and to be able to figure out how to solve conflict on a professional level is that we need to be able to see the situation from the other person's perspective. And as a professional communicator, you can walk around over here to my side and you go, "Oh, okay, Schmitty, I see what you mean. That is a 9 from your perspective." And then you can begin to help me, who might not be a professional communicator, help me walk around to your side and then maybe see it from your perspective. And then we can not only begin to cooperate with one another on this conflict, but maybe we begin to collaborate with one another, and we begin to work together at solving what this problem is and what oftentimes this little bit of miscommunication is. And sometimes we're just looking at the same thing from different angles, so it looks completely different, if that makes sense. So that's one of the biggest things that I think as you grow your communication skills and you start to understand other people's communication styles who have not learned an enhanced level of communication in any way, shape, or form, who have not studied any form of communication, is that they won't get this concept at all. And what they will do is they will stand their ground on one side of this number. And once they've made a decision, they're there and they will never change. They will fight you to the death because they won't admit that they're wrong. And so what we need to do as professional communicators is really try to open up those doors to go, "Look, I might be wrong, even though you understand that this is a 6 or a 9 and that it's just a matter of perspective." You can say, "Look, I might be wrong. Oftentimes I am. Let me look at it from your perspective and let's see what it is." And then you can walk around over here to the other side and be that uber professional communicator, and then really help bring people together on that same page. This is a very, very difficult thing to do because traditionally we like to make a decision and we stick to those decisions. And it's we don't want to be wishy-washy. We don't want to be seen as that. You see this in the political world 100%, where if somebody makes a campaign promise on one particular issue, they can't change their mind ever, despite the number of facts or issues that they've been presented otherwise to the contrary. They stand their ground and they'll never admit that they're wrong or that they changed their mind. But we as professional communicators understand that we're often wrong, and it's okay to be wrong because we learn most from our mistakes. So let's go mess some stuff up because we're going to look at it as a learning opportunity, if that makes sense. So in this world, there are 3 types of people. There are cooperative people, there are difficult people, and there are scheming people. Or sometimes you could also say there are nice, difficult, and sneaky people could be another way to say this. A cooperative person is a person that's going to take the bait right away. These are the people that you just need one style of fishing lure. You present it to them one way. You just ask them to do something for you, and they're just like, yeah, I'll do this, whatever you need. They're very nice. They're very helpful. They're very cooperative. They have no hidden agenda. They're not looking to be difficult. They don't like conflict, and they'll do whatever they want with you. And these are the people that we absolutely love to work with. However, oftentimes in the professional world or any sort of world of groups, we're often presented with more difficult people than we are anybody else. And difficult people, just like fishing, sometimes the same bait that we used yesterday that got them to work with us isn't going to work today. And we might have to try a different lure. We might have to try a different way to present that information to them. We might have to try live bait. We might have to move to a different location. We might have to try fly fishing. You know, there could be a variety of different ways that we're going to be able to get a difficult person to cooperate with us. And they're going to be a difficult person to hook, if that makes sense. And by policy, I think it's just built into the difficult, and really we're all difficult people at one time or another. So maybe you guys can understand some of this if you think of yourself as those moments when we've all been difficult people. By policy, whenever you're a difficult person, you have to know the answer to why. And that you just have to ask why. Why? It's in the rule books of being a difficult person for one reason or another. So one of the techniques that we can do as a person trying to get compliance, cooperation, or collaboration out of a difficult person is that we can just answer the why question right off the bat. Hey, I need you to do this for me because, and then you can just give them the why. This is why I'm asking you to do this for one reason or another. So they, and really typically whoever asks why first kind of owns it. And there were many times, like as a police officer, I would tell somebody, hey, you need to turn around and put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. And they would often go, why? Well, then I had to answer the question why all the time. And I was dealing with a difficult person and putting them into a situation where there might be a potential for conflict. And I didn't want that to ever occur. So instead, I would be like, hey, I need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back because you're under arrest for this, you know, or whatever the case may be. And it might be something really minor and not a big deal. And I'll let them know, like, look, this really isn't going to be a big deal for you. And I'm going to help you get through this as quickly and as, you know, smoothly as possible. And I really appreciate you working with me. And I just tell them why. And then I'm able to control the situation. The other aspect of dealing with difficult people is that they are tuned into one radio station and one radio station only. This is a radio station that is broadcasting in the head of all of us, actually, and it's WIIFM, and that stands for What's in It for Me. It's the question that we ask ourselves when we're on our phones and we're swiping through social media and we're watching a video and we swipe past it. We don't see what's in it for us, so we swipe past it, we swipe past it. And when we see a video that answers what's in it for me in a microsecond, we know the answer to this. We maybe pause and we watch that video, or we read that social media post, or we look at those pictures. So we're constantly asking ourselves, what's in it for me? And one of the best ways to deal with a difficult person in a difficult situation is answer that, hey, let me tell you what's in it for you to be working with me right now, or let me tell you what's in it for you to chat with me for a moment, or whatever the case may be. Is really try to focus on their perspective, walk around to the opposite side of that number and view it that it's a 9 and not a 6. from their perspective, even though you know it's a 6, and your ultimate goal is to turn them around and get them to work with you, if that makes sense. Third type of person, scheming people, the sneaky people. These are the people that act like nice people, but they have a hidden agenda. Their fingers are crossed behind their backs. They're lying to you. They're scheming you, but they seem like they're the most helpful, wonderful, super nice people. They seem like they're very cooperative, all that stuff, and they seem like they're taking the bait. However, what they're doing is they're really tuned into what's in it for them. And so still dealing with a nice person, which we don't know that they might not be a nice person, that they might really be a scheming person, it's still good to tune into what's in it for them when you're dealing with them in that difficult situation, or when they're seeing something from a different viewpoint than you. Try to figure out what they're looking at, the angle they're looking at it, and try to figure out what's in it for them to maybe have a conversation with you and maybe work through this problem. So once sneaky people are discovered, then they become difficult people. And then what you have to do is then you have to open up your entire tackle box, and you have all these different tools to try to get to hook them. And every single person will bite on different bait or different tackle, if this is all making sense. So the sneaky person is also the person who's there to tell you about this great big fish that they caught. And they're there to show you this on the wall, but their hidden agenda or their hidden thing is they didn't tell you that they actually caught this big fish on eBay and they bought it for $19, and that's why it's hanging on their wall. They didn't really catch this fish out in the sea or the ocean or in a lake. No, they caught it on eBay and just hung it up on the wall. So that's oftentimes what you're kind of dealing with, is those sneaky people. They look really legit on the surface, but deep down inside, they're just a difficult person in disguise. So always be careful when dealing with sneaky people. And really tune them in for what's in it for them. Does that make sense? Awesome. So let's talk about the most dangerous weapon. This is a weapon that we all carry 100% of the time, and that is our cocked tongue, or that is the verbal dynamite that fuse when somebody says something to us, and it just sort of lights our fuse, and you can just feel that fuse just burning closer and closer. And when it hits your tongue, you're just going to explode with a whole bunch of verbal dynamite. And then anybody that's in the area is going to get hit with what you have to say and how you want to say it. And let me tell you like it is, and yada, 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 yada. Be careful with the verbal dynamite aspect of things, because it is a very, very dangerous weapon. And we've all been in that situation where we've said things that we didn't mean to say, or that we probably shouldn't have said, and maybe we didn't engage our mind first. And all the things that we said, it hurt everybody involved, including ourselves, because now we spend maybe the next days, weeks, or months even trying to fix that problem. And one of the I think what is one of the greatest things that ever came out of verbal judo, Dr. George Thompson, who's the one who created the entire verbal judo system for law enforcement, he says, if it feels good, don't say it. This must be a statement that I make every single week, and probably something I have said every single week in my household during conversations that we've had, whether my wife gets upset because somebody parked their motorcycle on the stripes and she needs to lower the ramp van out, and she has to go find a different parking spot that she can get her wheelchair out of the van, and she sees the motorcycle rider walking up to his bike, and I know what she wants to say. She just wants the fuse on the verbal dynamite has been lit, and it's just burning closer and closer. And as soon as it reaches her tongue, it's just going to explode. And I know what she wants to say. I want to say it too. But if it feels good, it's just best not to say it. And the natural use of language is disastrous. So what we're trying to do with enhanced communication is really make sure that we engage our mind first before we engage our tongue. That way we can start thinking about from the other person's perspective, how to maybe solve these problems and work through these situations, if that makes sense. So mind first, then voice. Make sense? Awesome. So the
Folks,
most
if you have
powerful word-
questions, don't be afraid to ask. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
But if y'all have questions or comments, or if you've got something to add, don't be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't see everybody on my screen the way I have it all set up. So I can see if comments pop up, or I believe I can see if somebody raises their hand as well. So feel free to do that. But the way I have my display set up, I can't see everybody. So so I hope I'm getting the nods when you guys, when I'm asking you, does that make sense? So one of the most powerful words in the English language by far, and it's the key to solving 99% of the problems, it's empathy. Empathy, empathy, empathy. Let me click the right button there. There we go. And what empathy is, it's different than sympathy. You don't have to feel bad for somebody in their situation, but we need to be able to see the situation through the eyes of the other person in order to solve the problem. As the professional level communicator, if you forget everything that I've said today, when in doubt, empathize, empathize, empathize. Try to see the situation through the other person's eyes. And that is the way that we deal with problems. We must see it from their perspective, not our perspective, if that makes sense, as those professionals. And one of the most powerful skills in all of communication, it's listening. It is one of the most hardest skill to master. It's something that I have to constantly force myself to do, because oftentimes what we're doing is we're not really listening. What we're doing is instead is we are waiting for the other person to stop talking so we can say what we want to say, instead of really listening to what they have to say, putting some thought into our response after they're done talking, and then maybe say something, which oftentimes might just be, tell me more about that, because we want to get as much information as we can. And you've probably heard that statement before: knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Well, applied knowledge is really power, is how do you apply that knowledge that you get. And so we want to try to get, especially in difficult situations, dealing with difficult people, we want to get as much knowledge as we possibly can to be able to collaborate with those people. And the way we get that knowledge is by listening and asking questions. And oftentimes it's that, tell me more about that. And then people feel heard. And oftentimes just them getting the difficult thing off their chest, so to speak, they feel better. And oftentimes you don't even need to do anything other than just sit there and listen to them. And all their words might be coming out in a jumbled mess. And our job as that communicator is to, first, be open and unbiased. Have that empathy as you're listening to the person. Hear literally what they are saying, the words that are actually coming out of their mouth. Hear those. But the most important part of that is to interpret those words accurately and to really have an understanding of not so much what is being said or how it's being said, but what do they really mean to say in this type of situation. That's one of the key things, because the words that they are saying, they're flying out of their mouth, out of their verbal dynamite, their tongue that just went off. And all of those words might be under the influence of a variety of different things like rage, anger, fear. They might be under the influence of drugs, alcohol, anxiety, or a million other things. We don't know what their situation is and all the different things that they're going through. And the more lines of influence that their words are being filtered through, chances are the farther the words are from what they really mean to say. Does that make sense? When we're angry, do we ever say what we really mean to say? No, oftentimes we say what feels good to say, right? I really want to let this person, I want to make this other person feel the way I feel. I want them to feel the pain and the hurt and all that stuff that I'm, feeling right now. And so we throw those words out, and people are going to try to do this, and they're going to try to push your buttons. And by using all of these different words, so they want you to feel, they want you to have sympathy for them, but we want to see it from their perspective. We want to have an empathetic viewpoint, not a sympathetic viewpoint. It's okay to maybe understand their perspective, but we don't necessarily have to feel bad with them, because chances are they're the ones that put themselves in a situation, or they're in a situation that's completely out of their control, and they're so scared, they're so frightened, they don't even know what to do. And so their words are so far off from their meaning, from what they really mean to say. So what we need to do is that interpret accurately is really focus on, what do we think they're meaning? Ignore those words, focus on the meaning, if that makes sense. Let their words drift downwind. Just let them blow away. And what they might be saying, or what they might be meaning, is help, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, I'm confused, I need you right now. And yet the words that are coming out could be very angry, very mean, very disrespectful, a variety of different things. But it's an opportunity for us as enhanced communicators to maybe solve that problem and that perspective, that makes sense. So I'm going to skip that one right there. Let's talk about this, because this is, Abby, I think you were, before we all started, you had said something about you wanted to know, like, maybe how to, was it cut people off? Did I hear you correctly?
Yes. I really want everyone to come away from Lead On knowing how to make people feel heard, but also, especially in a group setting, know how to cut them off if that's what needs to happen.
Excellent. Excellent. This is the tool that you've been waiting for. This is one of my most used tools. My wife knows this tool. She knows how to do this. She has heard me talk about this. Yet I can use this in the middle of our conversation, and she does not even realize it. That's how well it works. I've had other professional level communicators use this technique with me, and I did not even recognize that it was a technique that was being used. That's how beautiful the art of paraphrasing is. And a couple different things that this does. One, it makes exactly what you were looking for there, Abby. It helps people believe that you're listening, right? And in order to do this correctly, you really do have to be listening, and you have to interpret what they're saying accurately. And so you really have to focus on what they're saying, why they're saying it, how they're saying it, and what they really mean to say. So you really do have to listen. So people feel heard when you paraphrase. Also, it is called the sword of interruption. This allows you to interrupt people mid-sentence, and they don't even realize you're interrupting them. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. And like I said, I can do this with my wife. I can do this with my kids. They can do it to me, and I don't even realize it's happening. And and when I recognize it later, it's like high fives all around. I'm so excited that it worked. And I love it when I don't even see it. It's just that beautiful. And the way to do this is when you are talking with somebody. Well, first, let me explain what it is, what we're doing first, and then how to do it. So when somebody's talking to me, they have all of these words coming out that are under the influence of rage, fear, anger, drugs, alcohol, anxiety, or what have you. It could be a million different things. All these words are coming out at me, right? They're speaking to me. I focus as a professional level communicator on what do they really mean? What do I think they mean? Now, I'm probably wrong at whatever I think they mean, but I'm going to have to get some clarification from them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then use my words. I'm going to wrap my words around what I think they're meaning to say, and I'm going to feed those words back to them. So their words come at me underneath all of this influence. I figure out what they're meaning to say. I'm going to wrap my words around their meaning, so in my words, and I'm going to feed them back to them. So it's what I believe they meant to say. And how I do this is I just go, wait, let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. What you're telling me is, and now I use my words around their meaning. This is what I think they're meaning to say, and I feed it back to them. I can also say, just so I'm not, or just so I'm sure you're telling me this, or just so I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Let me make sure I understand you correctly. It seems like that way I'm not telling the person what I believe they're saying. I'm just saying, hey, look, it's like you're trying to tell me this. And I wrap my words around what I believe they meant to say, even though it's nothing close. I never want to get into that battle of, well, you told me this. Well, you said this. Well, you said that. Because then it's a fight and it's a battle of words, and it feels good to tell people that, hey, look, this is what you said, and now you're wrong, and I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong and I'm right, and now we're in a conflict, and now I'm just throwing fuel onto the fire. What I want to do is extinguish that fire as fast as possible, and the art of paraphrasing is it. It is my number one go-to technique, especially when I need to cut somebody off right mid-sentence. I just like, let me make sure I understand exactly what you're telling me. And what this does is this whole concept of is when I do this, it causes that person to stop and listen to what I am saying now. And they don't believe they are listening to what I'm saying. No, they believe they're listening to their own words, even though it's my words around what they meant to say or what I believe they meant to say. So now they stop and they listen because they believe they're listening to themselves. And if I say something wrong, what do you think they're going to do? They're totally going to correct me, right? And that could be a technique. Absolutely 100%. You can intentionally feed back the wrong meaning to somebody to give them that opportunity to correct you, to go, no, that's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say, or what I was saying was this. And then they give me a little bit closer to their meaning. Each time that I get something wrong and they sort of correct themselves, or they correct me because I got it wrong, I paraphrase something back to them wrong, we get a little bit closer to the true meaning of what is going on. It is beautiful. And when you see it work, they don't even realize that there's a technique. I mean, you could all try this. I say, try this and practice this with each other as you're having these meetings. Somebody just interrupt it right in the middle of what they're saying and be like, wait a second, let me make sure I understand what you're telling me. What you're saying is this, or it seems like you're telling me this. Am I correct? There's a variety of different ways that you can just interrupt, throw that meaning back at them, and then see if they correct you. And they'll be like, no, that's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say was this. And each time it just gets a little bit closer. It is so beautiful and such a powerful technique. It is amazing. Here's a cartoon that I saw one time. My words came out fine. They were processed incorrectly by your brain, right? That's oftentimes that battle, right? We're gonna battle when these words come out. I'll just say right now, you will not ever in a million years ever convince anybody of anything by telling them that they are wrong. It just won't happen. In fact, one of the things that, so I run an organization called Drive Safe Missoula out of our local health department. My primary job is traffic safety. I'm in charge of our DUI task force, and I'm in charge of our Buckle Up Montana coalition. So I try to keep people driving sober, wearing their seatbelts, and I do a lot with car seats. And the one thing that I'm really frustrated with, and I'm actually going around the country doing talks all over the place. I was actually just in Georgia at the beginning of August for the state traffic safety conference there, is that we're telling people what to do. We tell people all the time, drive sober or get pulled over, click it or ticket. So put your seatbelt on or we're going to pull you over and get you a ticket. You text, you drive, you pay. And all we're doing is we're telling people all these different things, and we're telling them that they're wrong. do this, do this, do this. And what that causes is psychological reactance. And when we tell somebody to do something, very good chance they're going to do exactly the opposite of what we're wanting them to do for no other reason than when we told them to do it. Because they think, one, we're trying to take away their freedom, and two, they believe that we're telling them that they're wrong. And once they do that, they're going to dig their ground and they're going to be like, nope, this is a 9. It's not a 6. I know you keep telling me it's a 6, but this is a 9. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to fight you on this. And then we're in that battle, if that makes sense. Now, this is one thing that we used to say in the communication world, and if you read books on this and you continue to study this, you're going to see this probably over and over and over again. And that's what they call basic communications. Is your words is 7%, your tone is 38%, and your nonverbal or your body language is 55%. This has actually been proven 100% false. I've been teaching this for years, thinking that this was exactly what it was, because it was what was taught to me as being, this is the way communication works. Actually, it's 100% false. Communication is more on what I call the 3 E's of nonverbal communication. Yes, our words matter. The content that we produce matters. What we say and how we say it matters. Even though you might not be able to see my body language for one reason or another, but you can sort of get everything as far as how I'm communicating, what I'm saying, and all that stuff. But the nonverbal aspects of things, we have to take into account that perhaps it's the environment that we're in that matters when it comes to nonverbal communications. Just because I'm talking to somebody and I got my arms crossed like this doesn't mean that I'm angry and that I'm upset and that I'm not listening to what they have to say and I'm closed off or anything like that. It might be 32 degrees and I'm just freezing, right? So I might have my arms crossed like this. So we need to look at what the environment is. And so it's not just based on body language. Also, we need to look at what I call evidence. We need to look for nonverbal cues in what are called clusters. It's not just a single piece of, it's not like an eye roll, for example, that we think, oh, geez, this person is, they don't believe what I have to say. Maybe they have an eyelash in their eye, and it's bothering them. And perhaps they have muscular dystrophy and they can't lift their hand up to maybe scratch their eye, and they got an itch or a mosquito bite or whatever the case may be. So we can maybe start gathering some more evidence on those other nonverbal cues, and really interpret the state of mind or the emotions of this particular person that we're talking with. So if we can see that they're shivering, then we've gathered more evidence on that, if that makes sense. And then we can also look at their expression. We can look for the alignment of is what they're saying, is how they're saying it, is the way they are saying it. Are all of these things in alignment to help me determine this nonverbal cue? And if there's something, maybe one thing that's out of alignment, well, maybe it is just the fact that they're cold or they have an itch and they can't scratch it or whatever the case may be. But we just want to see, do their words, their tone, and all of their other nonverbal expressions, do they all match? And if maybe one thing's out of alignment, well, maybe the other 90% is in alignment, and that's what we need to focus on. And if we have any sort of confusion about this form of communication, you guys tell me, what do we do?
What do we do, folks?
Paraphrase.
That's exactly right. 100% ask for that clarification. Hey, I might be a little bit confused on this. Oftentimes I am. This is what it seems like you're trying to say to me. Am I correct? Am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me more about that. Whatever the case may be, is that we're going to look for that opportunity to listen, to gather much more information, so we really know what's going on and we'll jump into conclusions. Because when we do that, that's a miscommunication that's happening, and we're not in alignment. And then we're going to miss something. And then when we use our voice, here's a really great example. So I might be able to look at somebody. If we were all in a room together, I might look at Rachel, for example, and go, "I'm really glad you're here." And then I look at Andy and I go, "I'm really glad you're here." And I could testify in court, Your Honor, I said the same exact thing to both Rachel, and I said the same exact thing to Andy. I swear I said the same exact words, and I don't understand why Andy punched me in the nose. Right? I told him that I was really glad that they were both here. But it's not what we say, it's how we say it that's important, right? It's our everything that we use in our voice matters as far as that goes, as far as that overall there it is. I was thinking this on, I was looking at the wrong screen here. So yeah, I'm really glad you're here. It's not what we say, it's how we say it. Now, I told you what the most powerful word in the English language is. Anybody remember what that is? It's the one thing, if you forget all of everything that I'm saying here today, what's the one thing I want you to remember? Empathy. That's exactly right. Empathy, empathy, empathy. The most dangerous word? Tone. It's how we say it. We can say that the wrong way. I'm really glad you're here, right? And it messes the thing up. And it says more than what our words say. And our tone is made up from our pace, pitch, modulation, our volume. It's how we use our voice. For example, I can say these 7 words. I never said he stole the money. 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 Say the same exact thing 6 different ways, these 7 words, and each sentence was completely different because it wasn't what I said, it was how I said it that was really important. I'm going to skip through a couple of things here, and then we can get to sort of what it means to put it all together. So whenever you're sort of getting some sort of resistance, some sort of confusion, whatever the case may be, we want to ask. We want to ask questions, and we want to give the why to the question. So if I'm asking somebody to do something for me, I'm going to ask and I'm going to tell them exactly why I'm needing them to do this. If I'm a supervisor, for example, and I get like some sort of negative pushback, well, then you know what? I'm going to give a couple options. The first option I'm going to give is a positive option. Well, if you do this for me, this is all the wonderful benefits you will receive. If you fail to do this for me, these here are the negative things that will occur. You definitely don't want that to happen. You'd really like to see all these positive, wonderful things happen, wouldn't you? Is there anything I can say now to get you to do this for me? I'd really like to think there is. And then I'm confirming their cooperation, their level of cooperation with me. If I'm dealing with a difficult customer, for example, or I'm in a situation and I'm asking this customer to, one, stop talking to me in that tone of voice. I could say, sir, ma'am, I really need you to stop talking to me with that tone of voice or using that language. We really try to keep a professional environment here. If you continue, I said, if you can do that for me, I'll be able to help you out. I'm going to be able to try to get you everything that you need to get done here today. If you continue to use this bad language with me, I'm going to be forced to call a supervisor, call security, call the police, or whatever the case may be, and I'm not going to be able to help you out with your problems. But you really want to get all your problems solved today, don't you? Because I'd really like to help you with that. Is there anything else I can say to get you to cooperate with me? I'd really like to think there is. And if they say no at that moment, well, then I act. Then I know I've tried everything I can. Words don't work with everybody. Now I can say, all right, now I get to call the police. And I call the police and I bring them in, or I call my supervisor, or I have to write a report about the situation, or whatever the case may be. And I'm trying to really put it all together to make that happen. And I'm really glad this is all being recorded. And I highly recommend you guys go back and look at this Also, in the online course that I'm going to send you all, I'm going to give you an opportunity to practice, to drill and rehearse all of this stuff. And I'm going to give it to you all absolutely free. And you'll have lifetime access to it. It's on a platform called Udemy. So you'll have to sign up for Udemy, but there's no cost. And I'll send you a coupon. I'll send it to Abby. Abby can then send it out to everybody. And then you guys can utilize all that stuff. Let me go ahead and skip this, because I want to get to one thing. And I know we're running short on time here.
We're actually doing okay.
Are we doing okay?
We are doing okay. I normally folks take a little bit of a break, so if now's a good moment, or if we're on a roll, why don't folks take let's see, Steve, if I give folks a 10-minute break, is 20 minutes enough to say everything you want to say, or should we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
We'll do that.
Let's take a 10-minute break. Everybody do what you got to do. Get some food, go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do. And I'll see you at 20 minutes before the hour. So it's 27 minutes after. So I'll see you at 37 minutes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you, Steve.
How's it going, Abby? Going good?
It's going good. It's busy these days. The April conference is coming up. So we are deep in conference prep, and all of these folks will be attending the conference. So
oh my goodness.
We're happy to have them.
Oh, I bet it's just a blast, isn't it?
This will be my first in-person conference. I got hired during COVID.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to make an in-person. And so I'm really looking forward to our bringing everybody in.
Oh my goodness. Well, that should be just amazing then. I'm super excited. And where's the conference?
So this year it's in Anaheim.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I spent less than I think in Anaheim I spent 2 days there. That's the most I've ever spent in Anaheim. It was great.
I've been to LA a few times, and I have been to Disneyland once, but it was only for a day. Let's see. Jaden mentioned to me that he's been to the April conference in person 3 times, which is great. The last one in 2019 in Grand Rapids, which I hear was a great conference. So I was sad to have missed it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and if I'm correct, you know Michael Beers, right?
I sure do. He will be speaking with everybody here in about 2 weeks.
Oh, excellent.
So he and I don't know if you remember Sapphire from last year.
Yeah.
She is presenting with Mike in 2 weeks. So
oh, that's awesome. I just DJ'd his wedding reception on Saturday.
Yes. I saw pictures. They both looked fabulous.
Yeah, truly. I'm gonna open a window here. I'm roasting. Yeah, I haven't DJ'd a wedding since 1994. I was still using cassette tapes, if that tells you how long ago that was.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was I was just truly honored, and we just had a blast. It was amazing out by a lake here in Montana, and it was just beautiful and just a truckload of fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
I think he'll be at the conference. Supposed to be. Actually, our keynote for the youth conference this year is a person named Nina G, who is a friend of Mike's. They are in the comedy troupe together.
Oh, great.
It'll be Nina G.
Mm-hmm.
I've met her. She's amazing.
I'm so excited.
Oh, that is awesome.
So, they will have to, I'm hoping she sticks around for the whole conference. So like as part of her we were like, if you want to come to the whole conference, please, like we'll cover your registration and like your hotel and everything. So hopefully she'll stick around.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been sitting at my desk for too long. Emily, you've got a baby. Who's that baby?
This is one of my nieces.
Oh, hello. You're so cute.
Her mom needed a break, so I was like, well, I'll take her for a couple days. I never get her. I'll take her for a couple days.
Oh, that's awesome. What a delight. I can't wait for when Steph's brothers start having kids and we can be the coolest I don't know if aunt and whatever word we decide on, but there's not a great word for like your parent's sibling that isn't aunt or uncle. So
Funkel.
say that again.
Funkel.
Funkle. Very good. Laugh, how do you pronounce that?
Uncle.
Uncle.
Yeah, there's someone on social media who like opens all of their videos with, "Hi, I'm your non-binary uncle." I'll try to find it for you and send you the link.
I do apologize. I have Curious George playing
No,
in the
you're
background.
fine. I mean, you gotta keep her happy. So you do what you gotta.
Well, it's keeping. I don't know if you can see him, but it's keeping him happy.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
I thought I heard the man in the yellow hat.
So yeah, he loves Curious George, and he doesn't get to watch it at home. He only gets to watch it when he comes to my house.
Oh, nice. I was such a little rule follower as a kid. There were like TV shows when we were growing up that my mom and dad did not like me to watch because they didn't think they were appropriate or whatever. And so most kids, I feel like, would take the opportunity to go to like grandma's house and like watch whatever show they wanted, or go to their friend's house and watch whatever show they wanted. And then me would go, no, I'm not supposed to watch it. No, turn it. I can't. It's against the rules. But no one thought I was autistic. And that never crossed anybody's mind at any point in my childhood. So
Where are you going? Your wallet. I am gonna hold around your back because I don't want you to fall. I don't need to eat my shirt.
Mary Willard had a baby this year. I guess no, last year. God, he's almost 1. And Jack comes to almost all of mine and Mary's meetings. He's a very important part of our meeting process. I think both kids are coming to April this year.
Oh, it'll be so nice to see them all.
Yes.
George was pretty sure the brown thing was a potato. Weird. Green vegetable bats. Locking up is gonna look.
All right, folks, it is 8 or 7 or 6 or 5:37, wherever it is that you are. So let's come on back.
All right, should we start?
Let's go for it.
All right, so this is probably one of the key things that I've really been trying to teach people across the country in my travels recently, and this is the concept of psychological reactance. You heard me say it a little bit earlier, but I want to touch base on this one more time just because it's so important, and it's that concept of telling people what to do or what not to do. That it really seems to cause some issues. So let's look at this picture as an example. Let's say we have a kid, 5-year-old, in a room with every single toy that this kid has ever dreamed of. They're all there. We put the kid in there and we're like, kid, you can play with any toy. You can play with one of them. You can play with all of them. They're all yours. Have a ball. We're going to step outside. Oh, and one thing before we leave, just don't touch that button. Okay? Great. Have fun. And then what's the only thing this kid's thinking of anymore? This kid has forgotten about toys that he's dreamed of. He might play with one or two, but the only thing that's on this kid's mind, a 5-year-old now, is why am I not supposed to touch that button? I want to touch that button. What happens when I touch that button, right? We threw that in there by telling the child what not to do. And so what I'm trying to do is to get people to, instead of tell, maybe ask questions a little bit more. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to ask for that voluntary compliance, cooperation, or collaboration. And we do this because it's a very polite thing to do. And because telling puts that person on the defense. It takes away their freedom. It causes that psychological reactance, which we want to try to avoid. Now, if it's a situation of personal safety, where somebody's like come towards you and you need them to stop, that's the time when it's perfectly okay to tell and be very assertive and to use your voice or whatever. You'd be like, stop, back up, don't come closer, do this, do that, whatever the case may be. That's a whole nother story. That's not the time to go, hey, I'd really like to discuss with you about the process of stopping right now and what's in it for you to stop moving closer towards me and stop punching me in the face. Like these are not the times to, ask questions. We want to be really assertive. And then once we ask that question, remember, we want to say why. Why are we asking these questions? And we tell the people why we're asking the questions. The person who's, usually says why first is the one that owns it. And oftentimes what I would do if I failed to tell somebody why and I tell them to do something and they're like, well, why? Whether it could be, just telling somebody, hey, buckle up, drive safe, whatever the case may be. If they say why, I go, oh, you know what? I'm really glad you said that. I forgot to tell you. And I take the blame for not telling them why. And now I take ownership of it again, and I get to tell them why. Because if we don't tell them why, chances are they're going to decide on their own why it is we are telling them this specific thing for one reason or another, and chances are it's going to be wrong. They're going to misinterpret exactly what we're asking in many situations. So we want to make sure that we do that so we can increase the chances for that positive outcome, if that makes sense. And then we give them, like I said before, those positive options. Here's what's in it for you. The negative options. Here's what's not in it for you. If you don't continue to do this, let's reinforce the positives. And oftentimes, managers or supervisors or whatever really appreciate this because this is something they've never done before, is to have this style of conversation with people that they're working with. or organizing in a committee or a group or whatever the case may be, is let's go through all this stuff whenever there's any form of resistance that's given. And we do this positive, negative, positive, because if you give the negative first, they won't even listen to any positives because that's all they focus on. So we always want to start with that positive first, then give the negative options, then the positive options. And then once we're done with all that, let's confirm one last time in an attempt to generate that voluntary compliance, cooperation, or collaboration, if that makes sense. And then ultimately, if we get a no in this situation, say we're dealing with like a difficult customer, and we're trying to get them to cooperate with us, to share information, to give us an opportunity to listen so we can help solve the problem. If we don't get that, then it's time to act. And acting could be anything from disengaging. It could be escalating it, as far as if you're in a business, writing an incident report, talking to a supervisor, a manager, somebody else who might be in charge. It could be ultimately calling 911. Worst case scenario, it could be a self-defense type of situation. So what we really want to do is make sure that we're doing something. Oftentimes, in most professional types of situations, it might just be getting the supervisor or manager involved and then documenting the incident. So you have all that information, if that makes sense. So you just want to do something. You just don't want to let it go and not do anything. That professional level of contact, you just take it a step further, if that makes sense. Okay. By a show of hands, and let's see, I'm going to try to get everybody else here. So if you can click the little raise your hand thing on your screen, how many people in here have played cards once or twice in their life? Okay, I saw Elicity's hand come up first. Elicity, could you hop on the screen?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Excellent. Hey, Elicity, I got a quick question for you. To increase the overall learning experience of this entire group, you wouldn't mind helping me out with a brief demonstration, would you?
I'll help you.
Excellent. I really appreciate that. Now, Elicity, you said by raising your hand there that you've played cards once or twice in your life, haven't you?
Right.
And in a standard deck of cards, we have 52 cards. Isn't that right?
That's right.
In that deck of cards, we also have red cards and black cards, don't we?
We do.
Would you choose either red cards or black cards for me?
Black cards.
That's right. In the black cards, we have clubs and we have spades. Would you choose either clubs or spades for me?
Spades.
Spades. That's right. In the spades, we have face cards and we have number cards. Would you choose either face cards or number cards for me?
Face cards.
Face cards. That's right. In the face cards, we have the king, queen, or jack of spades. Would you choose the king, queen, or jack of spades for me?
Queen, of course.
Queen, of course. That, of course, leaves us with the king and jack then, doesn't it? Would
Right.
you choose the king or jack of spades for me?
King.
King. And then through the process of elimination, eliminating the king, we're left with one card left over. And that would be what card, Elicity?
It is the Jack of Spades, black.
Jack of spades. That is an excellent choice. I'm so glad you picked that card. How do you feel about that?
Oh, wow.
That was a good card, wasn't it?
That was good. That was good.
Yeah. So let me explain exactly how this worked. So, Elicity, thank you so very much for helping me out with that demonstration. I appreciate that. So the reason why I showed you this is because this here's a demonstration where essentially all I did was ask questions with a few exceptions. So I said, by a show of hands, clicking the little button there, who in here has played cards once or twice? And I tried to get my screen up and I saw Elicity's come up first. And then I asked Elicity, I said, to increase the overall learning experience of this entire group, you wouldn't mind helping me out with a brief demonstration, would you? And you said, yes, I'll help. And I said, thank you. And then I said, you've played cards once or twice, haven't you? In a standard deck of cards, there's 52 cards. Isn't that right? In that deck of cards, we have both red cards and black cards, don't we? Would you choose either red cards or black cards for me? And you chose black. And I said, that's right. In fact, every time I said that's right, it was the only time I did not ask you a question. Now, you chose black. And I said, that's right. Now, you don't know why you're right, but you're right. And I want to let you know you're right because it feels good to be right. So you're right. It's because I need to get you to that black jack of spades, right? So black cards, that's right. In the black cards, we have spades and clubs. Would you choose either spades or clubs? And you chose spades. And I said, that's right. If you would have chose clubs, I would have said, well, that leaves us with spades then, doesn't it? And you probably would have went, yes. And we'll get to where we get to that here in just a second. In the spades, we have face cards and number cards. Would you choose either face cards or number cards? And you chose face cards. And I said, that's right. In the face cards, we have the king, queen, or jack of spades. Would you choose the king, queen, or jack of spades? And you chose the queen. And I go, well, that leaves us with the king and jack then, doesn't it? And you go, yes. You have no idea why it leaves us with the king and jack when you chose the queen, but you said yes, you agreed to that. So then we're moving on. Now to the king or the jack, would you choose the king or the jack? You chose the king. And I said, well, then through the process of elimination, that leaves us with one card left over. What card do we have left? And you said the jack of spades. I clicked the button and my little minion drew the jack of spades on the thing. And you thought you picked the card, right? I'll say yes. more than likely you thought you picked the card. And I've done this literally thousands and thousands of times, whether it be with just individuals or in large group presentations on stage or what have you. And this is a technique that I learned long ago from by a guy named Tom Hopkins. He wrote the book, How to Master the Art of Sales. He was a sales trainer. I learned this back in the early 90s at a big conference, and I practiced, drilled, and rehearsed. You've heard that before. I PDR'd this until I didn't have to think about it anymore. And it's amazing how many times somebody's ended up on the jack of spades whenever I've done this. In fact, every single time, unless I've picked a different card, they've ended up on the jack of spades, and they typically walk away thinking that they were the ones that picked that card initially. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to guide you through the process of getting to my predetermined worthwhile card, which is the jack of spades. Now, we can do this with just about anything, any sort of technique, any sort of thing, because technically, we are all salespeople. And what we are trying to do is sell, whether it be ourselves on our resume for a job, a concept, idea, a belief. In fact, the best salespeople that you have probably ever encountered in your entire life, you would never call a salesperson, but you would probably call them a teacher. And a teacher who meant something to you that probably changed your life because they believed in you. They got you to maybe believe in science, or they got you to believe in the power of words and literature and English and history and math, or all of these different things. And they're probably that teacher that you know, if you could do anything, go back and give that teacher a hug and thank them for believing you and trusting you and getting you to just open up your world. And now you're a music professional, or you can design websites, or whatever the case may be, because they inspired you. That is the best, probably one of the best salespeople you have ever come across in your entire life. They weren't selling a product for a commission or anything like that, but they were really tuned in to what's in it for you to get whatever it is you got from them, right? They understood you and they got you. As far as communicators go, that's the same exact thing that we're trying to do, is we're trying to see things from somebody else's perspective, and we can guide them with questions. We can listen deeply to their answers to interpret exactly what they're saying to move forward. And we can ultimately lead them to our predetermined worthwhile response by just guiding them with those questions, if that makes sense. Now, this is something I'm trying to do in the traffic industry and the marketing world as far as that goes across the nation right now. So it's definitely a truckload of fun. Now, like I said earlier, I'm going to give you all access to my course. It's on Udemy. I have over 31,000. I think I updated this number like last or earlier this week. I have over 31,750 students in the course. I got a 4.5 review. This time last year when we did this for April, I only had 25,000 students. So I've gotten a lot more. This is going to be free to you. I'll send it to Abby. Now, with this link, you'll have 30 days. The link expires in 30 days. So you have 30 days to sign up for it. But once you sign up for it, you have lifetime access. So even if you don't plan on looking at this course for another year, sign up for it real quick and then forget about it and come back to it later. And then you have access to it. No problem at all. I also mentioned that I'm writing a book. It's going to be another gift that I'm going to give to you once I get this out and about. It's called The Fine Art of Dealing with Difficult People. I'll get this out to all of you as well. It'll be like an ebook that you'll be able to download. I'll probably send it out like in a PDF format for you. So you all have that. And then you'll be able to get to that. Now, one thing before we all go, I want to tell you about AI. I don't know if anybody in here has started using anything like ChatGPT or Claude or Bard. ChatGPT is owned by Microsoft. Bard is owned by Google. Claude there in the middle is owned by a company called Anthropic. These companies here are doing amazing things. And in the world of influencing people, these things are huge. You can hop on there. You can ask it a question as if it was the biggest, most unbelievable guru that you have always dreamt of meeting. So you can ask 1,000 questions to, and it will give you the answers. I have been using these tools, specifically ChatGPT and Claude are the two that I use the most to design almost anything. Like I said, I run a website or I run the organization called Drive Safe Missoula. All of my blog posts are now written by AI because I'm trying to influence behaviors. I'm trying to change behaviors. I'm trying to get people to buckle up. I'm trying to get people to drive sober. Now, 90% of people are wearing their seatbelts. Most people are driving sober on the roads. I'm trying to reach that other 10% that are doing the dangerous behaviors that we as a society really need them to change. And I'm really trying to figure out how to reach them and influence them. I'm not smart enough on my own. I have coalitions. I have other people that I work with in different industries to really help out with this. But what I'm really trying to do is teach people how to utilize these AI technologies to get this stuff done so we can do more efficient work to really influence these behaviors. If you haven't had a chance to research any of this stuff, I highly recommend it. There is an app for ChatGPT on your phones, both Android and Apple. It is free. You can log on there. Just make sure you're not paying for it, and make sure if it's ChatGPT that it's from OpenAI.com, which is owned by Microsoft again. But I typically use these right through my browser, answering emails. Somebody writes me an email. I copy the email, I paste it into ChatGPT, and I go, reply to this email. And it will reply to the email to me. If I needed to write me a short story, if I'm going to go talk to a group of first graders on seatbelt safety, for example, and I'm going to go into this classroom in this one small, I'm in a town called Missoula, this Missoula school called DeSmet Elementary School. I can go into ChatGPT and I say, write me a story about a classroom at DeSmet Elementary School in Missoula, Montana, about how all of the students in the class wear seatbelts. Make it fun, make it rhyme, and go. And it will write out the entire story. Yes, as long as you're not, I see that somebody says, yeah, as long as you're not using them for your journal entries for your class. Absolutely right. You definitely don't want that to happen. But all of these different things when we're trying to utilize this to influence behaviors, let's utilize these tools because they're powerful and they can only just enhance who we are as individuals, because we learn what I recommend searching on YouTube and watching videos is what's called prompt engineering. Goblin Tools is an excellent resource if you're neurodivergent, specifically Formalizer. Excellent. Truly amazing. Yes, 100%. I highly recommend logging in and figuring this stuff out and watching prompt engineering videos on YouTube. Truly amazing. Questions?
Steve gave us a lot of content today. So reminder, I did send everybody the PowerPoint Steve used today. But while we have him, does anybody have thoughts or questions or things that they want to share?
Also understanding, you might have a question later tonight. You might have a question later tomorrow. You can rewatch this video because it's being recorded, which is nice. Or feel free to reach out to me or to Abby. I know she has all my contact information. Yeah, feel free. Also, if you take the online class, there'll be an option in there to ask the instructor questions. And as you're going through it, if it pops up a question, feel free to reach out to me there. Sometimes I'm a little bit slow at getting to those, but I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. I know that this is late for our East Coasters, myself included, but I really appreciate everything that you have offered today, and I will definitely make sure to get out your information to everyone so as they continue to process things, if they have thoughts or questions, that we can get you connected.
Excellent. Yes, I'm a resource. Feel free to reach out to me anytime throughout the year if you have any questions or whatsoever. I'm here for you, and hopefully I can help make things a little bit easier from time to time.
All right. Everyone, your reminder that your journal's not written by ChatGPT or any of the other ones. Which, like, listen, AI is so useful. People are starting to use it in writing grants, which is like a huge thing if you're working in nonprofit. Y'all are here and coming to the April conference because of a grant that April has. But journals are due on Tuesday. And if you have questions about them or don't know where to submit them, please let me know. I hope you know by now. Y'all are experts at this point. And start thinking about your bios for the conference. All right. Thank you again, Steve. Everybody have, I see we have some contributions from, probably Emily, your nephew. No, you're fine. Niece or nephew. All contributions are welcome.
Thanks for everything. It was great. Thanks for everything.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a nice night, everybody. I'll see you next week.